What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good and hope the week is treating you well so far. So today's podcast is with the one and only Walker and Royce. I haven't spoken to these guys properly for a while, and it was really, really, really good to catch up. I don't really need to give these boys any introduction. They are some of the biggest artists in America right now. So without further ado, Walker and Royce. Walker and Royce. How's it going, you lovely, good-looking guys? I haven't seen you for ages.
Good to see you. Are you in Cheddar?
Yes, I am pretty much near Cheddar.
Cheddar.
I feel like I have to put my best English accent on.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's gotten stronger since you've been home for this whole,
I know, right?
Did it weaken while you were living in Detroit before the pandemic?
Apparently, according to my mom, it did, but I don't believe her.
Wait, so where's Cheddar?
It's
near Bristol.
Yeah, it's near Bristol, southwest.
Yeah,
yes, it is where
cheddar cheese.
The cheddar cheese comes from.
I mean, naturally, yeah. Of course.
People are always like, their mind's always blown when you say that. They're like, wait, there's a place called Cheddar. Yeah.
Isn't that like all cheese is named kind of like, well, it's like champagne, right? Champagne's, it's named that because it comes from champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I was convinced. My friends that lived in Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury.
That's what it says.
Shrewsbury.
Well, they call it Shrewsbury up there.
They call it Shrewsbury.
There's the place.
Next, the town next to it is like Wellington. I'm like, is this where beef Wellington came from? And it's like, nah, it's not. It's actually from Australia. I was like, oh, this is where beef Wellington came from. This is where they.
Is beef Wellington Australian?
Yeah, apparently it comes from Australian.
Really?
I read it because I was convinced that it came from there.
I have to Google this.
Wrong.
Is beef Wellington? I did not know this. From
what time is it?
Yeah, when did you go back? Well,
beef Wellington is from.
It's this guy that it's like I'm telling you, I think it's Australia.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Nothing. Google's not helping me right now.
No.
It was something like I think it's a British commander named Wellington went to Australia and invented it there.
That makes sense. But yeah, Sam, I
found it out here first on Will Clarke's podcast.
Yeah, everyone.
Now you know where Beef Wellington's from.
Everyone's like turning off right now. They're like, "Why the fuck did I?"
Everyone's like, "What the hell is Beef Wellington?"
Are you in? Where are you, Sam? Are you in? Have you moved to LA?
It's funny, yes. So no, I didn't move out west. I've got two little girls.
Congrats on the new one.
Yes, exactly. So their daycare is really close here. My parents are in New Jersey, so I wasn't going to move anytime soon. And then this whole thing happened, and that just kind of like, all right, now
it's really off the table.
Now moving to California is kind of like extremely unlikely
this is how it went down.
If even ever, yeah.
This is how it went down. Sam said,
prepare for a story.
Move to California. And I said, yeah. And Sam says, all right, you go out there, you check it out. and then I was like, okay. And then literally the second week I got here, Sam's like, my wife got pregnant.
Yeah.
Right now, he's not going anywhere.
Well, wait, pregnant with the second one, right?
No,
that was the first one.
Out here for a couple years, man.
I mean, it's so funny. They're so close.
They're very close. They're what are they? They're
and the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, well, not counting this whole year, but the last 2 years have just been have flown by, right? So like 2017, 2018, and then like now I'm just like, wait, I look at pictures from like a couple of years ago. I'm like, man, it feels like it just happened.
Feels like it was like just happened. Yeah.
It's wild. I was literally talking to Dread MC last week on the podcast, and he's got his third on the way. And we were talking about how much it changes your life of having a kid compared to not having a kid. Like, how has it actually affected you? Not affected you in a bad way, but how has it changed your focus in your career to Walker and Royce to having a kid to before having a kid?
It's funny that you asked that because it's like my wife and I, like the career wasn't going well, like in like say 2014, 2015, like around like, so we've been together for a while and
we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we're going to quit.
Suyan and I have been together basically from about the beginning of Walker and Royce. So like Gavin and I started working together in like 2011.
Okay.
Just shortly after I met Suyan, my wife.
Yeah.
So, we were hacking it out for years, and things were going up and up, but at a slow trajectory, right?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where there was some serious friction, and it was totally justified, right? Like, money wasn't coming in, and I was going over to Berlin for a few months and then coming back. And so we sat down, and I was honestly, I've probably told this a lot of times, we were going to sort of shelve it, just, do something else. And then, the whole Dirty Bird interaction happened, and things started to crop up. But at that moment, like my focus was already on like having kids and having a family and like having an income and creating stability. So now that once the kids have come on, I was already in that mindset. So it's like, so things actually haven't changed psychologically that much for me, because I was already like trying to make a living, and expecting like, this is what I want to do with my life.
This is the goal.
41 right now, right? So it's like, this started when I was like about 32 or whatever.
Sam, stop talking about our age.
They're old as fuck, people. It's fine.
I mean, 51, yeah.
Sam's that guy Sam. How old he says? I don't even know. I can't even count that high.
So yeah, basically, obviously things have changed. Free time gets cut away little by little, but I don't mind it. I was ready. I wanted it to happen. So I can totally imagine being 25 and having kids and just being like, fuck my life.
Yeah.
Right? All that shit, all that, the time with your friends, all that, making all those relationships doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like it's very difficult for me to go hang out with friends now.
Well, I think it turns into that selfless kind of lifestyle, right? Is that when you're in your 20s, 30s, and you don't have kids, you can just be extremely selfish. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish in life, especially in this industry. Like, you kind of have to be. Like, to have a partner, to have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, to have any of that is fucking hard, because you're literally, every weekend's gone, every day's gone, every evening's gone. And when you do have a bit of spare time by yourself...
Well, it was at least. Not really anymore.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess so.
And now we've been like thrown right into like, I've been home every weekend for the last 7 months, and I'm like,
it's
every
wild.
day is the exact same.
I think now everyone knows what it's like to be a parent, whether you have kids or not.
Right.
All the time. Yeah. We're hanging out.
I think also it kind of makes me realize how fucking lucky we have it when we're traveling and when we're going all over the place and doing lots of things. I don't know if you guys enjoy it so much. I don't know. It might be different, Sam, for you, or maybe you, Gav, because I don't know if you love being at home. But like, for me, I love being back in the UK. But damn, I miss just traveling. It's not necessarily. This sounds weird, but I don't necessarily miss the DJing. I don't miss the like doing stuff with the music, because I'm still writing music every day. It's not like I'm not doing that, and it's not like I'm not working towards things. But I just miss not being in one place for the whole of my life. If you know,
I miss all of it. I miss DJing quite a bit.
Yeah.
I miss traveling quite a bit, but I also am enjoying. I've definitely enjoyed some time at home. I think the last couple of years, just to go back, we almost quit. I don't want people to think that it was like a dramatic thing, like we were throwing our hands up. It wasn't like this, like we were like, that's it, we're done. It was like,
it's like a long, slow.
Just like you're doing good, but it's like we're like, okay, is this like, can we live off of this for a while? Let's just like, put it on the back. It was kind of like we were gonna put it on the back burner and try to like have other things. But then like, then the last few years since we did since we put out the album Self-Help, like, I mean, last year, I think we had 3 weekends off the entire year.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember walking down Denver High Street and having a phone call from you, Gav, and you're like, this was before ITB came out. And it was literally like, well, I think we're going to quit. And I think I don't know what to do. Do it like Sam and I don't know if we're going to want to split up and do our own things, or do we change the name, or do we do something different? And then I was like, I remember having a conversation. I was like, mate, change your name. Do what feels right.
Yeah, it's like, do what,
just,
anything.
Just do what feels right. But I can guarantee you that you will keep going. If you keep going, it will get there.
Yeah. I think that we were gonna that's what I'm saying. We weren't quitting like this is it, like, you know, and we were going and like moving away to the woods or something. We were like, it was more just like, well, this isn't work. It's like we felt like we had gone as far as we could. It was like all these DJs were playing our songs and we were doing all these like right things. You know, everyone was like, you know, Pete Tong had given us an essential tune called us Future Stars, all sorts of, you know, all these boxes. Everyone's like, you got to do this. We're like, all right, check. All right, check. We're checking all these boxes that everyone told us to check. And then like nothing, but like the only thing, I mean, it just like financially, it was just like, all right, we were playing in like, you know, we had this apartment in like Berlin for a little bit because we were playing more in England, you know, then we'd come over here to America and we'd play for like 25 people.
Yeah.
And then we'd go play like a warehouse in England and like London or something.
The landscape shifted so dramatically. Like we were almost exclusively in Europe, you know, and mostly in England and stuff. And then we would be, and you know, we were playing for like, you know, okay money, but nothing, you know, not enough, not frequently enough, and not enough to
I wasn't saving any money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no saving here. It's just all breaking. And then America just changed.
Yeah.
You know, then, you know, like, so obviously, you know, sort of coincided with the, you know, Dirty Bird becoming more popular and stuff. But then I think a couple of things happened. Like, you know, just the public's attentions just shifted onto house music.
Well, America, I was hoping we'd get into this. I mean, America kind of like just became like, it got a scene for like house and techno that was its own, where I feel like, you know, when we lived in New York, when we both lived in Brooklyn and we were first, starting Walker and Royce, I kind of feel like America didn't really have this house scene that was like its own strong thing. It was always looking to Europe. It was always like taking its cues from Europe. You know, who was popular in Europe was who was playing in New York City for sure. You know, I've always felt like New York was an extension of like it was almost like a European city when it came to like dance music. Like EDM wasn't popular at all in New York, and it was popular everywhere else in America. And then like New York kind of had like, New York was almost like a European city. It was like, you know, the Hot Creations kind of parties and, you know, Crosstown Rebels, like that stuff was like really popular there. And now I kind of feel like America shifted and kind of got its own house scene. And it's good in a way. And I feel like, yes, it kept us busy the last couple of years, but it's also kind of weird because I feel like I've never felt like so disconnected from Europe now.
It's so strange, man. It's so
like,
strange.
I feel like right now there's just like no connection between European house and techno artists and like Americans. It's like I almost feel like I don't know all these people that I used to know.
I had this conversation with Gene on the podcast a while ago, actually, and I think for me, I think America still looks very much at Europe on what's happening in music with regards to certain brands and certain like the big guys and the big DJs and to a certain extent some of the like uber cool kids that are coming through.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it feels like Europe doesn't care about America at all when it comes to anything to do with music, which I think is a sad thing, but I also understand why. There's two. I think for me, there's two things of it. The music is very different.
Yeah.
Like let's say for instance, Dirty Bird now to Dirty Bird back in 2008, if you know what I mean. Like it's very different. The closest brand that I would say is the closest to Europe is Desert Hearts. Just purely on the like the tech house kind of music that they play. But and then again, I guess like I think just with Dirty Bird, it's alienated itself so much from Europe, but it's created this unstoppable brand in America that will literally overpower any brand coming from Europe to America, which is now giving so many people their careers in America.
Do you think it's more the music or more the perception?
I think it's both. I think sorry, Sam, go for it, man. Go for it.
I was just gonna say that, like, whenever I feel like there's something missing. Like, whenever I listen to like any European, like all the house music coming out of there, there's just something missing, and I don't know what it is. Right? It's like there's
it feels like there's one element missing,
a specialness, nothing stands out. Like, nothing is like fresh. I mean, I guess I would say it's freshness. I don't hear anything fresh. Now, I'm not going to say that, you know, everything that Dirty Bird's doing is blow my, you know, my face off or anything like that. But I just don't, everything sort of sounds the same, or it sounds like it did, you know? So I'm like, okay. And, you know, I'm sure I'm wrong. There's plenty of people out there that are doing some cool stuff, but in general, I'm not hearing like a wave of some new sound where I'm like, oh, we got to pay attention. Well, I hear a bunch of stuff which I can safely ignore, which is not good. Right? I should be afraid, and instead I'm bored.
My theory behind this is I actually feel like this is kind of this personally coming from the UK and most of my career being in America. I find that this isn't based on the music being the same or being boring and missing stuff. Yes, I totally agree it is. I 100% agree it is. And I agree that it is in a lot of territories. But I don't actually think that's the artists that are doing that. It's of what I find is the labels allowing that to happen.
Sure.
And I think, let's say, for instance, let's use Hot Creations for an example, right? Absolutely formidable record label, okay? Does the business. Jamie's one of the biggest DJs in the world, if not is the biggest DJ in the world.
Yeah.
Hot Creations is a label that that releases a lot of artists, but realistically is just a gateway for Jamie to become a bigger artist. And I don't mean this in a horrible way. This is purely the truth, and it's the same with Dirty Bird. And I don't mean this in a horrible way. No one's going to be bigger than Claude Von Stroke, if you know what I mean.
It's the business model of a lot of record labels, especially underground house music.
And I think also on the other side of things, out of the UK, like with the major record labels in dance music, and I'm only talking dance music because I think there's a lot of really fucking good music that's not in dance music that's being released. I really do
think.
Only
house music. Agree, yeah. The other, and maybe that's the thing. The whole public has sort of shifted its attention to other things.
Well, I think the UK is amazing for house music, but it's not good house music. Like the majors are releasing very, very generic dance music.
Yeah.
And it's like they're signing artists that, like, a friend of ours has signed quite a nice deal to a major recently, and then it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like they just want you to put out the next piano house record to get a number one.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like they're always constantly trying to take something and like package it up. And I feel like with us, you always, it's never felt right. We had a song really early when we first started called "Connected" that did really well, and it became like a big hit. Like I think Solomon was playing it all the time, right? Sam, was it Solomon that was playing it all the time? Like we didn't even know, and it ended up getting like this huge hit. But like after we had this song come out, it's like very early, like 2012, like all these bigger labels like started hitting us up, and we were like, "Oh man, this is great!" But literally a bunch of them were like, "Do another Connected."
Yeah, exactly.
Do another Connected. So I feel like a lot of these labels, like bigger labels, like the majors and stuff, like they just want rinse and repeat.
Which I get, because it's easy,
but it's also bad for the music.
It's easy for them to package up. It's like what you said. It's like let's I don't want to put anybody under the bus because we've all got a lot of friends that are extremely successful by doing the same thing, and I don't blame them. I really don't blame them, if you know what I mean. Because
I think it depends on if you've got like a diverse catalog.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, you know, if we write some tracks that sound a little bit the same as another track, I feel like it's okay because we've got so many tracks that don't sound like that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and we don't try to do that. It probably just, you know, winds up happening just because maybe I'm using the same trick and I forgot that I used this other thing. But you know, if you only have one big popular track and then you copied that, like, come on, you know, like that, everyone's gonna see that. But then
they don't see it.
People don't care, you know, like the public doesn't care if they like the tracks, you know.
If it works, it works. But
it's like, you know, we can complain, but
I think that's the thing with like labels. It's like if it doesn't work, they'll drop you so quick and like forget about you so quick. So
and also the other thing,
relationship built.
The other thing that's different in the UK to America is people really like to be part of something. So like the culture in America is to be like, it's super cool to be a Dirty Bird fan. It's super cool to be a Desert Hearts fan.
I was gonna say, you know, the Hot Creations is like huge and such a, you know, we respect Hot Creations so much, but you don't go to a Hot Creations show and everyone's wearing a Hot Creations t-shirt.
Exactly.
And it's like very different. Whereas like the Dirty Bird shows, everyone's got like the Dirty Bird gear, which is it's cool.
New York factor, man. That's New York. Like New York, like no one will tell you.
No one will wear that in New York.
Yeah. Or not. You know, that's my perception of it. It was kind of like no one would actually be honest about what they really liked.
Yeah.
You know, but in California and the West Coast, that whole thing, right? I'm really almost just anywhere in the rest of the United States, people are happy to be like, go whatever it is. Yeah.
It took us a couple of campouts to get into like the camp out thing. Like, you know, like the first camp out, I was like, why is everyone wearing these outfits?
Yeah. Everyone's
second
really
camp out, I was like, man, I'll put on a hat. You know, like maybe a pin. And now it's like I got like, you know, and now we made like, you know, specialized like camp out shirts with our names on the back and like crazy like stuff, and it's fun. But you know, I get that, you know, there's like the underground people probably
we won't
understand that, or don't want to at least understand that, huh?
We were getting some hate from like at Coachella because I was wearing a Walker and Royce t-shirt and I'm playing.
Oh yeah, somebody was trying to talk shit.
I was gonna say
we won't say names.
I don't think anybody
was like, "Oh, is that the guy in the Walker and Royce t-shirt?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean,
I don't think anybody else had the shirt at that point. I don't think.
Yeah, we didn't release it yet.
It was like a new shirt, so I'm like, you know, like here's a new shirt. You know, it's like, but yeah, I totally would not have done that a couple of years before. I would have thought that was tacky.
Yeah,
and I'm like, who fucking?
You actually wouldn't let me wear the "Take Me to Your Leader" shirt to a show once. You said I had to take it off.
Well, yeah.
He was like, "You can't wear that." He made me go in the hotel room and take it off. I was like, "Why? It doesn't say Walker and Royce on it." He's like, "It's our shirt. You can't wear it." I was like, "All right."
I actually got persuaded during lockdown to do a Will Clarke t-shirt, and I was like, it says Will Clarke, and I'm like, I am never gonna wear this t-shirt. Like, I am never.
I wear our Walker Royce t-shirts just like to the grocery store. Like I won't ever wear it like to where I'm being like, I'll wear it because it's a comfortable shirt, but I wear it like on Monday when I'm going to like do my errands.
Yeah,
like, I'm like at the post office and no one knows I'm in Walker and Royce.
That's when you'll go to like Whole Foods and like see like four of your fans, and everyone's like, fucking Gavin wearing Walker and Royce t-shirt.
It happened, I think, in an airport. Oh no, someone caught me wearing like the Sound LA shirt because I wasn't.
You were wearing it, and we were at the airport, and somebody came up and was like. I thought he was commenting on the shirt.
They're like,
and he was commenting on.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing it because nobody knows who the hell I am. This is the airport.
Yeah, it was like Edmonton or Calgary or something, and some random guy's like, "Hey, we love you guys." I'm like,
"Oh no,
okay. Here?"
I've seen. Okay, so there have been times where I've run into just people who know who I am just from my face, and I'm like, "Oh, hi," but no, somebody like saw me who didn't know who I was. Saw the shirt, looked up who we were, and then started, I guess, following us. And maybe
no. He knew who we were. He just only recognized from the shirt.
This is a separate incident.
Separate incident.
Someone who had no idea who we were, and then they looked up the shirt, and then they realized that I was the person in the thing, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, this is, I look at it's a shirt in my closet. If it's clean, I will wear it because nobody knows who the hell I am, and it's a clean shirt. And it was, either free because we made the shirt.
Mostly the clean shirt. He doesn't have many clean shirts.
Right, exactly.
Touring
I'm full of black walk.
Where is this is the most random thing, but we're DJs and we're not famous. I don't care what anyone says. We might be well known in
we're famous to like a certain group of people.
Yeah, in a very small circle of people where people like us, if you know what I mean. Where is like the weirdest place that you've been spotted that you're like, I did not expect that?
Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. Someone came up to us at Disneyland. Oh yeah,
we went to Disneyland, and this guy came by, and he's like, "Can I take a picture?" And we were total like we thought he's how there's if you go to the theme parks, there's guys that walk around and take your picture, and you can go buy them. We thought he was one of those guys, and he's just like, "Hey man, can I take a picture?" And we were like, "Nah, it's cool. It's cool. Don't worry about it." Like we thought he wanted to take our picture because he worked there, and he was like all looking bummed out, and I was like, "It's cool, man. I don't want a picture, And then we were walking 10 feet away, and he's like, "I love you guys at camp out." And I was like, "Did we just get recognized at like Disneyland?" And then we turned around, and it was like we went and we were like, "Oh, we didn't know that you were." I thought then we were nice to him. We were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you worked here." So we were like nice to him and his friends. And then they went and he put it on this like some Dirty Bird like Facebook group and was like, "We saw Walker and Royce on acid at Disneyland," and they thought we were on acid. I don't know why he like made the jump that we were there on drugs. It was like Tuesday at like noon or something, and we did not take acid and go to Disneyland, but he did recognize us.
Sounds like a normal day with Walker and Royce at Disneyland.
Like, it's really funny that you say that because I remember being somehow like intoxicated, but I wasn't, and I know I wasn't, because I would never. Right. Well, first of all, I've never taken acid. Right. So let's just.
I dropped something in his water. He just didn't know.
No, we weren't even drinking alcohol. Like I think we were just walking.
It's Disneyland. You can't even. It was Disneyland.
Right. Exactly. But I think because you maybe mentioned that
funnel cake.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that after the fact. The guy thought we were on acid. Now I
posted it on a thing. It was like
you can't talk over Sam.
Yeah,
it keeps on cutting out. No one's gonna hear anything.
Yeah. But yeah, another funny thing that happened once was somebody put on like Twitter like, "What's your craziest like celebrity interaction?" And it was like people being like, "I saw Tom Cruise at the gas station," and like Brad Pitt was getting hot dogs like next to me at Dodger Stadium or something, like all these like actual stars. And then somebody was like, "I forgot Walker and Royce's name when I was talking to them," or something. And I was like, we don't belong in this right now. Like, this is like actually, it's like I smoked a joint with Seth Rogen. It's like, this is not we don't belong in this category. Like, we shouldn't be like comment on here. It's like we're only DJs that get commented.
It's so strange, isn't it? Because we are so lucky doing what we do, and we live in this like. Oh, I can't speak for you guys, but I hope I can. But we live in this like bubble where we're touring every weekend. We're in the studios during the week. Like, we don't really see anyone. We kind of don't really live a normal life. And it's kind of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's kind of just that.
But
we play in front of thousands of people every weekend. And then we're so lucky that we can just go back to like on Monday morning and no one recognize us and no one do it. Yeah. It's just like, could you imagine what it would be like to be actually famous, like a celebrity? That's the difference, isn't it?
Can you imagine that if you landed home on Sunday night, like everyone was starting taking your pictures while you're leaving the airport? Like that would, that. I mean, I think I would just hide out. I think I would just hide out in my house.
I'd shave my beard.
Live in Ohio.
I'd be gone.
Yeah.
Like,
you just have like one that you would put on when you go on your tour.
It'd be gone.
Like you just like a real hair. Do it perfectly. Just like clip it on.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh my god.
So when Walker and Royce kind of like, when you're at the stage where you're like, we want to fucking quit, like this isn't going anywhere, like it turned around really quickly.
Yes. Yeah.
Like from being the new kids on the block to pretty much the biggest artist on Dirty Bird.
I think what happened is like the music finally found the right audience. Yeah. Like the wacky like ITB kind of thing hit them draws. Like it found the right people to be in front of, and it was like, oh, okay, you know.
I think we kind of found our sound.
Boom, you know, hit the right stream of people to listen to this stuff, and then it started.
I think that's what was frustrating with us is that like when we first started, we had like really quick success. Like we were on Crosstown Rebels like really quickly when we had made like 3 records and Damian Lazarus like hit us up. So we kind of like from the beginning, everybody kept telling us like, you're going to be so big, you're going to be so huge. I think that was like a problem, like, because like we were just really new actually. And then it was just, like, it felt like everything was like this letdown. It felt like everything was like, all right, we're going to get this. And that's going to be it for you. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like I told you, we're checking boxes. And I think that we found our sound. And I think, you know, the Dirty Bird, I think the album is really what set us off. I mean, I think that would you agree, Sam, that not set us off? Like, I think it just like somehow solidified.
Threw gasoline on the fire. I feel like we were already like in a much better position, like in 2016. Right then,
the Dirty Bird thing helped. I think it was a good marriage of like, I feel like Dirty Bird was kind of making a change and needed like maybe it was kind of like needed a sound kind of shift.
Well, I think what happened is, and this is only my personal outside opinion, is Dirty Bird was at a point where it needed something fresh. It had like, you had the OGs, so you had Justin, J Flip, Kill Frenzy, Ardalan, and then I kind of you had Sheba, and then I kind of came in a little later after that, and then you guys came in and you guys created the current Dirty Bird sound. And I think that's what happens, is that when you kind of create a sound, everyone else wants to create that, but you're the people that created it. And I think when you're the creators, you have this power to do what the fuck you want and kind of lead that sound. And I think at that time, Barclay wasn't releasing music. Like, there was no one really releasing music that was like wowing Dirty Bird, but yet they still had this amazing brand, and they had the camp outs that
the camp out, I think, was like really big.
Yeah, and it was like the 3rd year in camp out, maybe this second, third year in camp out, when you were just
the 3rd year was when we were like, we released Self-Help.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks after the 3rd camp out.
Yeah. And that was when camp out was like, everyone was talking about camp out. Like everyone wanted to be at camp out. It was like the hottest new festival in America. Like it was everywhere. It wasn't just like part of the festival calendar. It was the main event of the calendar. And I think you guys just kind of built this sound and rolled with it, and it kind of just took off from there. And it for me, it felt like it was like a year in the making. And then when Take Me to Your Leader started to play around, it was like, okay, this is when it's going to go off.
Yeah. I feel like that was like a way different song than we'd done. It was like very vocal. It was like very vocal led song.
Yeah,
we'd always done vocals, but that was like a big vocal.
And that track is like not really like the other tracks, which is funny. I mean, it's, you know, it's got some of our things in it, but it's not.
It still doesn't sound like anything else.
It doesn't have a big sound on the drop or anything like that. It doesn't, you know. There's not like a bunch of weird glitchy sounds. I mean.
It's not a big noise on the one where it's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's more of like a pop. It's almost like a pop track. So, I mean, it's like, that's why I feel like it worked. You know, it was like we had these more bangerish kind of tracks that sort of did this thing, and then we also want to have these other tracks which are kind of like, I mean, ideally. I want to be able to play in almost an entire set of our own music.
Yeah.
But I want it to be that diverse. Like I want it to, you know, like I want to be able to sort of go into these sounds and then, you know, sort of take it in this direction. Because I was always frustrated, I should say, digging through records that I didn't like, and that takes so much time and stuff. So
that I 100% agree with you. That for me, like, that's the one thing that I say for myself is that 90% of my sets are Will Clarke records. And if they're not, then I'm not working hard enough in the studio, because they should be. Because if people were coming to see me DJ, why, like, you don't go see Queen to hear them play Bob Marley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like, we've actually, I think some people have been like, why do you play so much of your own stuff? And I'm like, well, it's like, if you're seeing us at like a quick set, if we're playing like a 5-hour set,
it's different.
Which we'll definitely dig a little deeper. And it's like, I'm definitely a DJ first. So like, I like playing all sorts of stuff, but I think that we enjoy getting, people get mad if we don't play our own stuff too. It's like, even when we do play like mostly our own stuff, we'll still get somebody DMing us like, why didn't you play this one? Like,
yeah.
So we like playing, we like that people like that. And,
well, I also think is like, now I think DJing is different now. Gav, you might be able to kind of, like, back from New York days, right? From when you would play in New York a lot as residencies and things like that. Sam, I don't know if you had a residency in New York. I don't know your kind of background in
You did
New
though,
York.
Sam. You played that pianos.
I mean, yeah, it was like we were playing regularly a smaller joint. It wasn't at like a big serious club or something like that. It did give me a lot of good experience though, playing very small room for like 4 hours, 5 hours at a time.
Yeah,
like every Saturday.
But
I did all sorts of.
But I think also DJing in the last 5 years has changed so much generally, especially in America, because the sets are pretty fucking short, and people are paying pretty good money to see you as the artist. And if you have their new favorite song and you don't play it, they're going to be pissed.
Of course,
no,
yeah.
People are pissed, man. Yeah.
And it's the one thing that I learned when I used to tour with MK, is that literally his 95% of his set was he DJ'd like a show. And for me, it's not necessarily what true DJing is, but who am I to say what true DJing is? And I think,
but when you do a festival and when you get to this level, this is like, I look at this, okay, you want to ask me, to me, it's two different things. And it's like, I'm actually enjoying this time off because like now we're doing this Twitch thing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting to be a DJ again. I'm getting to like play these like sets where I'm not playing with Sam all the time anymore. So I'm playing like this other stuff, but like, it's Walker and Royce and Sam and what we do on these festival stages. Like that's not, it's not real DJing. Like, go to a club to see a real DJ. This isn't like, that's what I'm saying. It's a separate thing.
Yeah.
If we're playing for 1 hour on a festival stage, it's, people came to see us play. I think the first time we played Crossed, I played without Sam. And I was like, oh man, I downloaded all these. I played at like 2:00 in the afternoon and I downloaded all this cool new stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to play this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. And it like went over everybody's head. Yeah. And I should have just played our fucking music. You know what I mean? Everyone was just standing there staring at me in the crowd. Like, what is he playing this disco record for?
Yeah.
Like when I was like, I'm going to take it to all these different like places in 1 hour,
Yeah, right.
And I learned really quickly. I'm like, for a festival is playing that, you should play your own music. People came to see Walker and Royce play. We're not going to play all our own music, but we play maybe like 75%.
Yeah.
I mean,
we play it's just the other songs are just setting up our songs, but then that's what I'm saying. And then you go see us in a club, we go play at Sound in LA for 4 hours set. We're not going to just play that same set. We're going to play a completely different set. And we're going to play a lot of different things and go in a lot of different directions because it makes more sense in a club.
Totally.
Like the
in a festival situation, I don't think it makes sense.
The festival is like a chance to try out demos too, right? I mean, like as crazy as that would sound, you obviously want to play some things that the people know about, but it's like, because it's such a banger thing, it's like you're just you're banging it out. It ironically maybe is a good time to try out a new demo because, well, you can always just go into another old banger, not old, but like a tried and true thing to save it, rather than in a club. You might not be able to just do that, right? You might have to, it's like, well, if this track doesn't work, saving it is not as easy as just throwing in a banger, right? So it's maybe it's almost better.
It's a different type of DJ. It's a different skill set. It's like what, being a good DJ is. It's like, you gotta be able to adapt. I feel like what I always learned from like my open format days is just being able to adapt and like get it back. And a good DJ's, I always say that like you're not a good DJ unless you've cleared a dance floor.
100%. I was just about to say that, like, how good is the feeling when you have a new record that no one's ever heard and then it goes off and
it works?
I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. Yeah,
that's what makes it all worth it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'll keep doing this job.
Yeah.
Happen.
Well, filling up a dance floor and like getting that moment is like such a good feeling. But I mean it, man. If like you haven't cleared a dance floor, it's like you're not gonna really know how to fill up a dance floor as much as like, because I feel like a lot of DJs are just like they play like a set, especially like a lot of younger kids. I'm not trying to be like, oh, these young kids, but like a lot of people just play like this one. They're like, this is my set.
Yeah.
And I think that works in a festival situation. I don't feel like in a festival there should be, if you have a warm-up DJ in a club, like the opening DJ, there's like a way to play an opening set. I feel like a festival, it's like that's kind of, you don't need a warm-up set at a festival. I feel like everybody should play their bangers.
I think that's the difference between the UK and Europe, though. And no, Europe, UK, and America. I think America is much more of a DJ is a rock star kind of vibe, and in the UK, it's a lot of it still about being cool, and Europe still about being cool and kind of being, I don't know, it just feels different compared to what it is like in America. And I think that's purely because EDM as the genre is so much bigger in America. And
yes.
And you've
That's
got
exactly it.
You've got DJs that just play 45 minutes and they play the same 45 minutes for a whole fucking year.
Everyone comes like, guns loaded, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like what it's like their time to show everybody what they can do. And it's like they haven't. New York DJs are different. I think that's the thing. Coming up as a DJ in New York, I didn't learn that way.
New York isn't America.
I had to almost learn like I said, the first festival I played in America was like we totally bombed.
Yeah.
I was like I had that mentality of like I'm gonna play this like this cool like kind of like like what the way Europeans I think would approach it. It's like I was like I'm gonna play this and it's gonna build up to this and they've never heard this and. Yeah,
New York. I always don't class New York as America.
It's got a very European. I always have felt like an extension of Europe.
Yeah, it's just New York. People don't want to dance. Like if you get people dancing, if you get people dancing in New York, you're doing a really fucking good job. That's why I love playing there because it's just like it's hard work. It's a harsh city. Like. You guys know it more than anybody, but like you have to work so hard to just live in New York. And if they're paying to come and see you, they want you to put on the best possible show because they're spending their hard-earned money on you, and they're not just gonna come and dance. You need to make sure that they dance, and you need to make sure that you put on the best fucking show you can, so that they have the best night.
If they one record, they will clear that dance floor.
Exactly.
If they one record they don't like, they will clear.
I love
it. They will let you know that they don't like that record.
It changed a lot though. I mean, like playing it elsewhere was always really good. In the past couple years, like when we were actually starting to tour a lot and stuff, New York surprisingly became like a good place for us to play. And I was like, every time I walk in there, I'm just like, this is gonna be tough, man. Here we go.
You had a hard night ahead of you in New York,
Yeah, exactly.
And also like being from there, it's like the extra addedness of like all our friends like texting us like every 10 minutes. I'm at the door. Let me in. I'm not on the list. It's like this whole added
costumes only. Yeah.
Fuck off and just talk to somebody else about this, please. We used to play at House of Yes, and they started doing costumes only.
Yep.
Which I liked. Like you had to dress in part of the theme because they wanted to keep out the bros. But then there was all my bros outside. Whoa!
In their boat shoes.
Tell me I gotta put on an outfit.
No, so what happened is the New York sort of weird cabaret culture started to mingle with the Burning Man like culture, which then which sort of started, and then like the silly sort of wacky Dirty Bird vibe started to creep into that because of like, you know, people wearing like animal costumes and stuff, like, you know, at House of Yes or something. So like there was a way in, so people actually were open to this sound instead of just like completely like European sound. So like it's just weird how like these things change. Like New York definitely did change. How the heck is it going to be like next year? Like the city, like everyone has, like tons of people have moved out of the city.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's going to be fucking amazing.
You think that when things come back, it's going to come back strong?
I think it's going to be a while till it comes back properly, but I think it's going to be good. I don't know like we've all got friends in New York, and all of my friends that are in New York said that yeah, it's quieter, but it's fucking amazing still. I've got a lot of friends that live in Cali that are trying to get the fuck out of there. Right. And I don't know. I think America's going to open up before anywhere else. And I think it has in some states already.
It's just like an I don't give a fuck.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing.
It's not a good thing. It's like it's we're shooting ourselves in the foot, right? It's kind of like we can either do one of two things, and instead we're splitting the difference, which is like the worst possible thing. We could either like just go full on like I don't give a shit about your grandmother, and everybody just goes out and a whole bunch of people wind up dying, but you know somehow at the other end of it, like the economy is somehow doing great. That's like horrifying, but so no one's actually going to do that. But then on the other side is a full lockdown. You know, we can't do that either. So instead, we're doing this middle of the road thing where we keep as soon as things start to look good, people like stop caring, and of course the death rate's going to spike right back up again. You know, and then of course they're going to react, and then people are going to start getting sick of that. You know, so we're going to keep going towards this I don't give a fuck thing, which I think is not good, right?
It's strange,
It perpetuates the whole thing. Yeah,
it's really strange because I don't think, like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a fucking pro. I don't have a clue what's going to happen. I think, though, there comes a point when you have to crack on.
Oh, yes. We're definitely, I'm feeling that right now. Like, regardless, like, everyone and people who really care, I think, well, maybe there's a bit of optimism about people are finally taking just wearing masks seriously. It took this fucking long for people to start taking masks seriously, you know?
Here it did,
everybody wears a mask, then we could probably go about like 95% of our lives. If everyone just wore a mask, that would probably be enough to keep it down to the point where it was like not a problem. If it was a problem, it'd be a smaller problem.
I think for me, the crazy thing I know has happened in America, and it's happened here so much. It's just got so political. And I'm not a politics man. I don't even want to talk about politics, but for me, it's just wild how much it's divided so many human beings. And you're just like, this should bring people together. This should bring a community together. This should bring people to the point where like respect everyone. You don't know when fucking someone's going to die. You don't know anything. Like, respect everyone. Everyone's allowed their own opinions. Everyone's allowed to say what they want. You might not agree with it, but so fucking what? Let them get on with their lives and let's just enjoy it, if you know what I mean. And I think if that was the case, if that actually happened, I think it would be a much easier time for everybody. It's not been fun. I think the last month or two has chilled out a lot in our industry. But like when it all first started happening, and like loads of shit's happened in our industry, and it's not fun. It's not been fun to like go online and on Instagram and see what someone's being cancelled for, or what something's done, or what someone's said or done to somebody. It's not nice. And I think now what I can only speak for myself, but I think now what's happened is everyone's like, okay, maybe we all just need to shut the fuck up and just crack on with it, and just actually understand that life's not like what we do is not that important in the grand scheme of life. But we have to all earn a living, and we all have to crack on. And I don't think unless people are being helped financially, I don't think it should be allowed to say that you can't do this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that the politicians are starting to understand that there's growing negative reaction, even though people like absolutely want to be safe.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just decide businesses are going to be closed, so,
it's fucking wild.
We're just going to have to, move forward. But at the same time, I feel like I've been, banging my head against the wall. I feel like a lockdown should not even be necessary, I think, if everyone just was a little bit careful, right?
Yeah.
I think that if everyone was just could be careful, that would probably be enough.
Yeah.
It's like, there would maybe be a couple things which, would have to be trimmed a little bit, maybe like, totally. Club can't be like elbow
Slammed.
to elbow.
Yeah.
But at the same, but at the same time, what's the, we can also put everyone out of business. The government is not going to give everyone all the money to make up for it, which we see. So, it's like a,
it's wild.
Well, we took a drive-in gig, and now we're doing this gig in New York, and there are all these socially distanced, safe gigs. And, if I'm sure that some people are like, the safest thing is not to do anything, but at some point, you
have to pay your rent. You have to pay your rent.
I mean, there's two of us. We didn't make as much money as Sam has 2 kids. We gotta make money.
You have to. I don't care what anyone fucking says. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
It's not our fault that the government didn't do a good job of like containing this virus.
But I don't think this is a government. I don't necessarily agree that this is a government thing. This is a community thing. This is a people thing, if you know what I mean. And that's what I'm saying about it turning political. Like, in the UK, it's wild. Like, everyone's just blaming the government. But it's, at the end of the day, if you didn't stay in during lockdown, it's your fucking fault. It's not the government's fault. Like, it's simple.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like we stayed in during lockdown. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
We didn't do anything. And there's parties. We're doing these socially safe parties, and there's other parties that are happening here in California, man. There's parties happening in the desert where it's just like 800 people, and they're not social distancing. They're not doing anything like that. And those are the people being like, "This sucks.
Yeah.
When's this going to be over?" I'm like, I don't know. Maybe when you stop going to like what we're doing is a different kind of event, because it's like, we're doing drive-ins where people are like our distance and we're wearing masks. We're doing what we can. I know it's not the most safe thing, but we gotta crack.
What are the drive-ins like? Honestly,
we did this one.
Honestly,
and I thought it was gonna be weird, but it actually was fucking good, man. It was. Maybe it was like
it was cool, but it was. I think it was just a little too far away from the big city, from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
I think that
we did in like we did it. It was like on the border of Wisconsin.
Okay.
But people came, and it was cold, and it was raining. It was like 35 degrees. It was almost snowing. And I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell are we gotten into?" And but people were well into it. People were out of there. They had it so it's like everyone had their own car space, and it was very distant. And like you could get outside your car, and people set up speakers, and they had chairs. It was kind of like tailgating or something.
Yeah.
And people, like, I felt like, I don't know if it just felt good to DJ in front of people again. I don't know what, but it was a lot more fun. That I came out of it feeling better than I thought I would.
Yeah.
It was nice to be back. And now the next thing we're doing is a 2-tier testing thing in New York. I guess it's in New Jersey, where we have to get tested 3 days before.
Yeah.
You have to have, you're supposed to quarantine after you get tested, and then you show up with like a negative test, and then they test on the spot.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they're doing a rapid test inside. So you have like a negative test showing from 3 days before, and then you can be, or like, if you took 2 days before, and then you get tested on the spot, and then you can go in, and you still have to wear a mask when you're inside.
I see. That just makes so much more sense. Like,
practical.
It makes so much more sense.
You can get tested.
Yeah.
If everyone's negative, then what are we doing?
Do you have to pay extra? Do you have to pay? Yeah. Does it cost more to go?
I think that it's expensive just to go to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive to go to the show. It's not as cheap as
prices have to come up, I guess, because there's less people.
There's less people. It's only like 500 people or something, but it's like
it's still a lot of people
in a large space. It's like a space that could hold like 5,000 people or something.
Is it outside?
I think it's in yes, I think it's going to be like a tent or something. It's like there's like a cover on it for rain, but it's like I don't think it's going to be. It's not indoors.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to do indoors yet.
Yeah,
generally.
it's not indoors.
So music-wise, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but what's going on with the album? The next album. There's got to be another album. Well, I know there's another album.
Yes, there was supposed to be an album that was coming out in the spring that we were going to be finished by now. But obviously that didn't really work out like we wanted it. We haven't really even seen each other. We've been working on Zoom calls.
Oh, joyful.
So we haven't, normally when Sam was, when we were traveling, I guess I could kind of come like at least once a month I would come. We'd play in New York. I would come for a few days. We're not together as much, which doesn't really matter that much.
I mean, we could get together in a hotel room and, we could like work on shit, when we were
we'd always see each other, but now we're doing that, like we're working together on Zoom, but it's also just, we're not getting vocals. It's like, we're working with some people that we're excited about working with, but the vocals aren't coming like we want because I feel like just everybody's been in a weird headspace. So we've now pushed the album back to late 2021 for a release date, which is fine, I think.
The other thing is just like motivation, right? And headspace, right? Like just trying to write, being on the road and just imagining, like playing for parties and stuff, like having sort of an informed perspective on what's working, and then having that completely taken away, and then just being like, all right, keep writing house music, but there's no one to test this in front of. There's no one else also playing parties where you could go to and see what else is working, right? So it's not like not only can we not see what's working in our own sets, we also can't refer to anybody else's sets what's working, and that just makes a really like a dead atmosphere to try to write house music. Yeah,
I'm trying to gauge what people like off Twitch comments now.
And if someone's listening to music on Twitch, it's not the same vibe as in a club, right? There's definitely going to be a trend in a slightly different or maybe majorly different direction.
Yeah.
Is that going to follow its way into the club on the other end, right? Like, are we going to come in, in May or June next year and if like let's just be optimistic. There's a vaccine in December. It starts getting out there and starts really cutting into the death rate, and so that like people are able to let their guards down and people actually can go out and party just like they want to.
Yeah. By
like the summertime, is the kind of music. Is that going to be drastically affected by the pandemic, or are people going to be so sick and they want the hardness? You know what I mean? You want the intensity and you want to be smacked around because you've been so pent up to be like, ugh, like I don't want to be all lazy. I want to go hard, man. Like I want like powerful intensity, and I want to make my head blasted off, right? By laser stuff, right? Like I don't know.
I think the music landscape is changing. I think sounds are changing. I think things are getting different. I definitely think it's splitting. There's definitely, I think, been a few people, and especially in America, that become like tech house fans or whatever, tech house music fans in like the last few years that maybe weren't, there's just because it was popular. I feel like it's kind of like, I feel like it's a good like rinse, all this pandemic stuff obviously sucks, but I feel like there's a good kind of like a rinse happening where it's kind of like weeding out the wrong people that wanted to listen. Does that make sense? It's like I feel like the music's going to change, and I think it's going to be a good thing. And I think that our sound is definitely changing a little bit. I would say, Sam, would you?
Well, the album itself is going to reflect a bit of this shift.
Yes.
And like there's going to be some drum and bass tracks on there and stuff.
Yeah. We're definitely exploring different sounds.
Trying to get gigs in Bristol.
Yeah.
Things that just sort of split the difference.
Bristol, which is just right outside Cheddar.
Yeah. Which is where the cheese is from.
Yeah. But like, what were we going to originally do versus what we're going to do instead? I'm hoping that it actually works out better. Right?
I think it will.
So what's your thoughts? Has this changed your mindset at all? with regards to releasing music. Let's say, for instance, worst case possible, there's no clubs, no shows next year. Have you had that conversation where you're like, okay, we still need to put music out, but it needs to be music that streams, and it can't be just for the club? Because for me, like, I'm writing so much music that you would never have thought that I would have put out as Will Clarke. But I'm writing music that I know will stream well. And then there's two different parts, like kind of treating it like two parts of the industry, really. You got your music, and then you got your music that streams well, and then you got your club music. Club music doesn't stream well at the moment. Like it doesn't do well.
I think what's going to happen is I think you're going to find that people are going to write stuff for streaming, which I think is a good thing. And I think that you're going to find that some of it really actually still works well in the club.
Yeah.
I mean, our song, My Own Thing, was like this song we did with Sophie Grofi on the album. And we thought it was just going to be this like, kind of like low key, kind of hip hop ish track. You know, she's a rapper, and like, we didn't think anything really of it. We thought it was a chill track, and it became like a huge kind of thing for us. So it's like, I feel like that's going to happen a little bit, where people are like, oh, I'm writing this more like melodic thing because it's like, you know, people are just listening to music at home, but you're going to find that it's like a huge banger, and it'll like kind of transfer to the club.
Well, that's what I was going to say with the album. Like the tracks, like a lot of the tracks that we're sort of doing for the album, probably like half of it would be these tracks that were more sort of streaming, or you know, maybe just not club tracks, but we're hung up on getting vocalists for them, right? Like, because I feel like if you really want something to stream well, it should have. I mean, I'm not thinking about things like oh, it's going to be big business. I feel like in order to make a proper track that I like, it should have a lead in it, right? Like a top line on it, right? It should have like some kind of memorable vocal on it that sort of just wraps the whole thing together. And we're trying to get people to do that, and it's hard. It's hard because we can't get
people are not the right mindset.
Yeah.
No, people are on the right mindset. Yeah,
I agree. I also like what you said. Club music no one's hearing it, so I think there's less demand for it. If you know what I mean, people aren't going to the club and taking videos and asking and then DMing you what's next, what track's this or anything like that. It's just not. It's not that. How have you found the streaming stuff? Because I've not touched live streaming at all. Like for me, it's not for me. But you guys did you guys start Good TV with Justin and Vanessa and who else? Artie
and Christian. And then there's also like Dantes Saunderson, which is Kevin Saunderson's son, and DJ Heather's involved. We have like small town DJs involved. We got a bunch of people involved.
I really like what you've done, by the way, before you go into depth. Like, I think it's cool. It's not like I had Mikey Lyon on the podcast and he spoke about what they've done with Desert Hearts TV, and I really like what they've done there. And it feels like what you've done is kind of created a channel, which is like kind of that next step on, which I really like, and fair play, because it needed to happen.
We're television executives now. You know, if you got some program ideas, we're open. You know what I mean? Like, we're taking meetings.
I'll send you a pilot.
I think, you know, I was hesitant about doing the streaming stuff, and I'm still a little hesitant, to be honest with you. I'm not hesitant. I'm having fun. I'm wondering, I think it's here to stay. So it's like, I think that when things come back, like, this is still going to be a thing that people are into. So I think it's been cool. It's, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Sam's going to be doing this kind of thing where he's like working, you know, he's working in the studio and people can watch him work for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing, my show is going to be just like, I think we're just going to have a guest every single time and just like kind of mess around and makes it fun. We definitely play differently. I think that streaming, I'm on the mic a lot.
I saw you and Mikey B. I saw that the other day, and this morning actually I was in bed and I pulled up Instagram and saw you and the Mike B just doing, I don't know what the fuck you were doing, but
exactly.
But it was fun.
I think that you got to look at it's, you know, it's just like we were saying, DJing a festival, DJing a club is different. Now, like DJing this live stream is like a little bit different. I don't think that people, it's like you can't just play bang, 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 because it's like people are sitting in their living room listening to this, right? I mean, I was asking the other night, I'm like, how do you listen to this? Like, are people listening on, some people are listening on their phones with headphones. Some people are just have it on their TV. We watch it on our TV. There's no good sound system.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I watch other people, it's like I'm watching on my TV and it's just like, it's just the TV speakers. So there's no sub,
I think this is where American culture actually wins.
British people will not do this, right? They just don't care. It's like they just like don't give a shit, right?
It's just like you.
In my gut, I think me and Sam's gut is the same way.
Yeah.
So I think I was hesitant. Yeah. That's why I was hesitant. Like in my gut, I'm like, what? I'm gonna DJ on the internet. But now that I'm doing it, I'm having fun. Would I watch myself? Probably not.
Yeah. Like I saw.
Am I gonna watch this show? Like
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna watch this, but other people here want it, and it's fun.
I saw Claude doing his first couple. Like I literally just flicked on and was like, "What the fuck are you wearing, dude?"
He's on the mic, he's on the mic more than anybody.
He loves the microphone.
Everyone, and now he did a live stream for Insomniac, and he was doing the same thing. I'm like, "Are you just gonna be on the mic all the time now?" When he comes back,
pretty much, he's gonna be an MCer. And it's going to be
we're asking Barclay if he wants to MC, do a tour with us, but he doesn't have to DJ, just going to MC.
You feel that pressure, when there's no audience, you can't see anyone's face. So you feel like you need to fill up the space with whatever you say.
It works on the Twitch though. It works on the Twitch. I'm telling you, it's like if you just sit and DJ, kind of, you forget. It's almost like people forget that you're even doing it and they'll stop paying attention. But it's like, we come in and make jokes. Mike B's on there. Mike B's hilarious, man. That guy should be like a comic.
I also think it's a different form of entertaining. And if, let's say, for instance, even if one of my favorite artists is doing a live stream and they're a DJ artist and they're doing a live stream, I do not want to just watch them, just play records whilst I'm doing the fucking dishes. It's just not for me. But if I was to, if it needs to entertain me in a different way, because I'm so used to just going to a club and hearing DJs. So that's what I'm so used to. I don't want to hear that when I'm cooking, if you know what I mean, or taking a shower or whatever. So I think what you guys are doing is it's definitely different, and you wouldn't want that in a club. You would 100%. If I fucking walked into a club and heard you and Mikey B on the fucking microphone, I would come and unplug that shit out.
No, exactly. We know that. We wouldn't do. I'm not going to go back to a club and do this. You know what I mean? I know that completely.
Exactly.
But I know that if you don't hear it on the Twitch thing, it's more like we're doing a show.
No, you know I like that. I respect that.
And I'm also playing this is what I'm saying. It's I'm playing. It's kind of, in a way, making me kind of miss my old DJing days, because it's I'm playing all this stuff that I'm we're going to go play all this old roulette records or something. I'm playing stuff that I would just never play in my Walker and Royce sets in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I'm having fun doing it. It's oh my God, I'm remember that record? I'm going through little sections of my vinyl that's here and downloading the tracks. I haven't brought the vinyl to the studio yet, but I'm downloading the tracks of I'm oh, I remember this vinyl. I'm pointing because they're right here. And I'll go download it and play it on the show. It's I'm doing stuff like that. So it's fun to kind of revisit this stuff. And it's I feel like I'm sharing I'm sharing with fans something I haven't before.
That makes sense. And I think that's important. And I think for me, the most important thing which is why I didn't do the live stream, is because it doesn't excite me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think we're super lucky that we do jobs that we absolutely love. And the thought of doing something that we don't want to do, but we're doing it just because we have to do it, is the most...
That's what I don't want it to turn into.
Exactly. And that's why I started the podcast, because I was like, I really want to do this. I've always wanted to do this. Obviously, we did the little podcast thing beforehand, and it just feels right for me. But
I still want to do it. Yeah. I just been lazy.
We should do it. We should do it. We should start it again.
We should start it again. This thing we're doing.
Yeah. I think.
Well, now that I'm doing it on here, it kind of makes sense. I like it. For the people listening, Will and I did 2.
2, yeah.
And it was hard for us because Will wasn't living in LA. So you were kind of trying to coordinate around you coming to LA to do this podcast. The first one was with Doc Martin, which you can still listen to somewhere, and it's really good.
It is good.
And then the second one is with Bot and Miko, which is not as great because it's just a bunch of guys talking over each other.
Pretty much.
But it's still funny.
It was fun doing it, though.
It was fun doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so how do people watch the Good TV if anyone is listening?
Twitch. It's Good TV on Twitch. It's ITSGODD TV, all one word, on Twitch. You can follow us. You don't have to join. We have weekly programming. Everyone kind of has a day. We have Wednesdays. Justin Martin does Saturday nights. If you want to watch, he was on for a few hours last night. Ardalan does Fridays. Vanessa does Thursdays. Christian Martin does Mondays. Tuesdays is DJ Heather and Dantes Sanderson. And then Small Town. Yeah, we have like a bunch of stuff. We're adding programming. We're doing stuff. Sam is doing like kind of production stuff. We're going to do some more production stuff during the day. Our friend Tony, who's actually like a professional production teacher, he's going to be doing like some like production. He's going to be like, here, this is how we're going to have more like informational stuff. We have, maybe we're going to do some more talk show stuff. I wanted to do a cooking show with Bot. I'm trying to get Bot to show us how to make his pasta, which I think would turn into more of a comedy show.
Is he cut his hair yet?
Huh?
Is he cut his hair yet?
No, he like got it trimmed. He's like, I'm going to cut my hair. I'm going to cut my hair. And then it's like, he just...
Fuck, I love that guy. I do miss, like, I don't know about you guys, but I do miss the, like, hanging out with all of you lot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like, I haven't seen, you've been in England for how long now?
Since March.
I used to joke that you didn't live in LA. I
know.
He stays so much in LA all the time. I was like, when are you just going to get into like an apartment in a
There was like a year, wasn't it? Like last year, I just was pretty much in LA like every other week. I don't know.
I was like, why are you spending all this money on hotels?
I don't know. I just
fucking move here, man.
Fuck, I just couldn't do it again, man. When I lived there, you were in New York when I lived here because I remember you came over, didn't you?
Yeah, I came out when I still lived in New York. You lived in LA, and I picked you up in my rental car.
Yeah,
went out for dinner.
I just don't like LA, man. Just don't like it.
I'm torn because I think I was so ready to get out of New York, but I still miss New York. It's like I miss it and I don't miss it, and I love LA, and I also don't love LA. Yeah. That makes sense. It's like everything.
It's weird though.
Now that I'm here in the pandemic, I think it was better for me when we were traveling so much. I think being in New York, one of the things that just having aside from having just like been in New York for so long and like felt so beat down from being there.
Yeah.
Sam escaped to Jersey just outside. So I never did that. I was still living in Brooklyn with roommates, and I started traveling a lot, and I was like coming home to like dirty dishes in the sink and no toilet paper. And I was just like coming home and I'm being like, why am I spending my time between, when I was traveling every weekend, why am I spending my time in New York? So I think for me, moving to LA was like, I was like, it's just a better place for me not to be during the week. You needed
to get out of New York. Let's be honest. You'd been in New York your whole life, pretty much,
yeah,
or your whole adult life.
Yeah,
definitely my whole adult life, and then some of my childhood too. I went to I grew up there a little bit when I was a kid. That didn't really add to like why I needed to leave because I was just a kid. But
I got an alert on like my health app that said Gavin Royce's life expectancy just increased by 5 years.
I was like, and now I miss it a little bit. I definitely needed to get out at the time. I just felt like, it was just
sitting in like
bad memories.
Like, dark basement, like there was no sunlight down there. Like
I lived in a lot of really bad apartments.
Didn't you?
I was sort of homeless at one point. People don't know that. Like I was sort of homeless at one point. And Sam, I lived in the studio. Sam, we had a studio, and Sam said, no, but under no circumstances could I live in the studio. And then he went on like a month vacation, and I lived in the studio while he was gone. Because I was like living on my friend's couch. So I was like, I'll just live in the studio.
I remember.
I never knew that. I told him like 2 years later.
You moved in with
He's like, I knew it.
With Will Tran?
No, when we had that one in like out off like the Jefferson L stop.
Oh.
Yeah. And then my friend Mark lived down the street, so I was going to shower at his house.
See, that's the thing. New York living is so much like that. Like
it's just a bad quality of life, and I think that's what it was. Is like when I started like traveling a lot and seeing how other people lived
for cheaper, so much.
You know, like I'm like, you have a tomato garden? Like, oh my god! like
you have a house?
Like, yeah. You have a spare bedroom? Right. But so I think once I started having that, I kind of made me be like, all right, yeah. And then I think that was it. Once we were traveling so much, I was like, why am I coming back here on Sunday night?
Yeah. And
just staying here till Thursday. And like, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't like involved in the culture anymore.
Yeah.
Now that the pandemic's happened, I definitely miss it a little bit more. I didn't miss it until like this pandemic, until I was sat around a lot. And I'm like, I definitely do miss New York a little bit still. I don't know if I'll ever move back, but I definitely miss it.
See, the thing for me with New York, I'd move to New York tomorrow, but to have a nice lifestyle in New York, you have to be doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I just didn't live there. And I would, if I could, I would move there tomorrow, because if you've got a shit ton of money, New York is a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, it is. Well, it was a lot of fun before this pandemic. I don't think it's
I think it would be just as fun. I don't know. Wishful thinking.
I mean, you're paying a premium to live in New York, so there's things that, you know.
But isn't LA the same? LA's expensive as shit as well.
Not as expensive as New York.
No, true.
So it's just not as expensive as New York. And I was in a position. Yeah, I feel like, I was just haunted by New York. Even when I started doing better financially, I felt like now I'm going to spend all my money like to get like a 1-bedroom in New York, or should I just move to LA?
Gav, the apartment that you guys are in right now, like imagine that in New York, it'd be like double at least.
Like no, it'd be like, you know, like a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, it would maybe not double, but it would definitely be like almost double.
I think it would be double.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Music. Have you got any music coming out, or are you literally like holding off?
No. We have a single coming out on Dirty Bird in December called "Need to Freak." It's more like I wouldn't say for streaming, but it's definitely more like a chiller vibe from us. But people really like it so far, and it's a little bit more moody.
Did you hold back on releases? I know you obviously the album was supposed to be coming out, but have you held back on any other releases?
We have a few things. We don't.
Well, we have a remix of the Chris Lorenzo remix, which
we don't know when that's coming out.
Of Word?
Chris Lorenzo remixed us, and then we remixed him. We did like a trade with him.
Okay.
We had a swap. So we did a remix of "Take Me as I Am."
Yeah.
With the Streets.
The Streets.
It's a great record. Love that.
Yeah. So he did that record with the Streets, and now we've done a remix of that.
Definitely not a pandemic record.
Definitely not a pandemic record.
It's a pre-pandemic banger.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to fit in with anyone's like chilling in the bedroom kind of thing.
It's so weird, isn't it? Because the Streets are so iconic in the UK. Like the Streets,
very iconic.
They're like I grew up with the Streets, if you know what I mean. Like Mike Skinner is literally the sound of England growing up. But in America, is
nobody knows who he is. I keep telling everybody, I'm like, we've done a remix. It's like Chris Lorenzo with the Streets, and everyone's like, the what? Like nobody knows who he is. And I'm like, yes, the Streets. I'm like, oh my god, what are you talking about?
I always try and listen to the Streets with Ryan, my manager, and he's like, mate, I just don't get it. I can't understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it.
I feel like I get it because my family, you know, like I've British family, so I've always felt like I've kind of gotten. I don't know. I always feel like a little bit more of a, like I understand that kind of thing. So for me to work with the Streets was like a huge deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. Fair play. It's a good one. And you've just had the Word remixes just come out, right?
Yeah, the Word remix has come out. So we also did a remix that came out of the Freaks, Tweakers by the Freaks, which another huge thing for me. You know, the Freaks were like,
yeah.
To me, like when I discovered Dirty Bird, which I discovered I was a fan of Justin Martin. So the first Dirty Bird record was like Justin Martin record. I was already a fan of him because I was like into the Freaks.
Yeah.
And the Freaks were like these British guys, Luke Solomon and Justin Harris. Luke Solomon still owns Classic and runs Classic, which is all the Honey Dijon stuff.
Yeah. He's a great A&R.
Like they were like the weird, wacky music that like, I was like, they were making this stuff that, you know, was so unconventional. So I was like a fan of that. And so to be able to remix them was like another honor.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we had that come out, and then, but other than that, we have a few things done, kind of. But I don't know what we're gonna do with stuff. We might just be sitting on stuff. We're not sure how. We don't need to. I don't feel like we need to release as much music as we had been.
It's such a strange time to release our music. It's hard.
Are you releasing any music?
I just put the MK record out.
The
collab with MK and I, and although it's doing all right, it's just a club record, and club records don't do well nowadays.
There's no clubs,
so
like there's no club. What's hitting in the club? It's like nothing.
Literally. Yeah, so it's kind of like I was really lucky at the beginning of the year because I did You Take Me Higher, and then Hallelujah came out, and Hallelujah is still doing really well, but that had like a year worth of club. So even though it came out right at the beginning of COVID, it had such a lead up. Everyone wanted it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Whereas the MK record, it kind of didn't have any of that. It was just me and Mark.
Yeah. I feel like people putting out music now, you're just like, oh, here it is, and I'm like, I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah. But I have a EP coming out on Trick, which is Patrick Topping's label.
Oh, cool.
Which, if I'm honest, it's actually Mikey Palladino's on it. Daddy Dino.
I can't believe it. No, Daddy Dino.
Dino.
We'll talk about his name in a little bit, but yeah that's good.
So, but that EP is hard, like really hard. So honestly, it's a great EP, and it's just good. It's great that it's going to be out on Trick, but I just don't see people. Streaming wise, it's not going to happen.
That label's really cool. They have a lot of really cool stuff. Like Patrick's done really well with that label, so I'm happy you're on that label.
Yeah, it's just a label that Patrick just does what he wants to do, and it's not like he's kind of signing names or anything. Like he's signing loads.
Yeah.
And then that's it for the rest of the year. But I pretty much have my whole release schedule planned for next year already. We're just going ham. We're like not slowing down.
You're gonna just do it.
Just gonna keep going next year.
That's nice to know. That's nice to hear.
I think the music that I'm releasing is different. It's not necessarily all just club music, but we're kind of gonna space it out between like a club record, a not so club record, a club record, a not so club record. And there's gonna be records that we'll probably release that won't even get DJ promoed or anything like that. Literally just gonna go out. And just put it out.
For us, I mean, I think we were already going to hold back on some music because of the album, right? So right now we're not entirely sure what we're going to do, but you know, the plan was already to hold back and like wait till like the first album single came out.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll have maybe one other remix or maybe one other release on like another label before we do the album cycle.
Yeah.
Like before COVID, I was almost imagining like the perfect scenario would just be to like almost never release music, right? Not never, but like a year behind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just every single time you're out, you're playing all demos, which nobody else has except something given to somebody else. And that's why people come to your shows, right? They can't hear your music anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right. And that's basically the business model. And now it's like what, you know?
Yeah.
So now we have to put things out but like I was saying before, we're sort of already in the process of doing these things that are like, not totally, they're not club bangers and stuff. And way, down tempo kind of stuff, or way too fast, way too slow, weird. And now there's a place for it now. It'll actually do better.
Yeah. Do you guys, I don't know about you, do you guys enjoy releasing music? Like now when a record's coming out, do you enjoy it? Do you get excited, or is it something that you're like?
Or am I like,
about?
now everyone has it and now?
Yeah.
If it's a winner, if it's already starting to be less and less in our set, yes, I'm happy to put it out.
Yeah.
If we're still playing it a lot, no. Right. There's like a crossover point where it's starting to like lose like popularity for us to play it, then go ahead and put it out, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone can have it. But yeah, no, we want to sort of hold our winners close until they're, losing steam, and then we can put them out. That's my perspective.
Do you guys, as like talking business, do you guys put pressure on yourself when the music is released? Do you put pressure on the record? Does it get to the point where you're like, oh, we haven't got this playlist, we haven't got on this whatever, it's not hit this chart, it's not done this, whatever?
Sometimes I get caught up in it, sometimes I don't.
Fretting about that never is productive. Like,
No.
It doesn't actually help me write better music or something like that. So it's just like, no, you can't. I prefer to just be completely blind. I mean, I honestly thought that Word was going to be a flop.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I thought it was like, no one's going to like that record. And it, was popular.
Sam is
doom and gloom.
Very Sam is a glass half empty guy. He's always pleasantly surprised by. We played Coachella. It's a funny story for everybody. We played Coachella, and it was so amazing. And it was like I felt like the Hulk. I had so much adrenaline. We played. It was packed. The stage. We played early in the day, and the place was at capacity. Apparently, they had a line out the door of the Yuma tent for us, and it was so amazing. And I just like so jacked up, and we get off, and Sam just goes, "So how do you think that went?" And I'm like, he's like, "So he's taking out his earplugs. So how do you think that went?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Did they have food here?"
Well, I'm incredibly. I never.
He's like, "Oh, do you think people liked it?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? People were like climbing all over the place. It was crazy."
I'm so.
Like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get a sandwich."
So.
And he fucked off and went and got food.
Yeah, not cynical. I'm not cynical, not pessimistic, not like I just want to be realistic. So I don't. So even though. And I was incredibly nervous going into that, right? Like, come on, man, we're playing like Coachella. It's the biggest show we've ever done, right? Like the big, it's like, and yeah, I don't want to accept, unless I know something is like genuine. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, yeah, it was great. And then like, be like, so I'll be willing to accept the results like way later. You know what I mean? When everyone's like, yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm like, okay, I can believe this. I don't want to let myself be like, yeah, that was great, because I've done that. And sometimes when I've thought something was great and it wasn't, and, it bites you in the ass, right? So, I mean, we've all written something that we thought was great, and then we play it and people are like,
yes,
this sucks, right? And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it's an awful feeling.
Yes.
No, I respect that. I think I'm pretty similar to you, Sam, when it comes to anything like that. Like, yeah, Gav, I remember. I actually remember when we played. What's that festival in the desert? That's hot as fuck in Palm Springs, not Coachella.
Oh, Splash House.
I remember. Yeah. I don't know if you can remember. I hated playing that party. So
I remember you. No, I remember you were pissed. You were like, it just wasn't your. It was. I like that festival, but it's definitely a hangout festival.
Yeah,
it's a very New York crowd vibe in like Palm Springs. It's like a lot of just it's all by the pool. Everyone's just kind of hanging out.
I think it's just a load of frat kids that just want to hear that want to hear losing it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
But I was like, I literally wanted to quit DJing that day. Like, I was like, this is...
I remember. You were pissed off. I remember.
So pissed off. But I get that with me.
Shut up.
Yeah, I wouldn't shut up. I would just fucking moan. But I get that about music. Like, I got that about the MK record. Was like, this is doing shit. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I even fucking trying? I get so in my head when I release music. It's like, and it's actually unhealthy, but I don't, and you know it's unhealthy.
Right.
I can talk to myself in the mirror and be like, Will, what the fuck are you doing? But I still do it.
Yeah, I stopped doing that a long time ago. Yeah.
How did you stop that? I need to learn.
I would literally, get in these almost like a mental, like, self-hate kind of thing. Like, and I realized that it was happening. I was like, okay, that's not productive. Like, you can stop, you can be self-critical, but I sort of do it on a day-to-day basis. Like, you sort of write something, and then you maybe like, because write something like at late at night, and it's kind of like vibey and cool, and then you come back to it the next day and you don't like it. So instead, like, give yourself that perspective. Don't beat yourself up when you don't have that realist perspective again. It's like, look, sometimes I do come back to something and I'm like, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank God. Like, I'm still feeling like, or like, I can't even remember what I was doing yesterday, and I'll play it and I'm like, oh, good. I still like it. Yeah. Because a lot of times I come back and I don't like it. I'm like, all right, well, that one goes away.
Yeah.
And you don't need to, if you literally get into where you're talking to yourself, you just maybe change the subject in your mind, go do something else, like watch TV, or just don't beat yourself up about it, because it's not healthy, but at the same time you do have to be self-critical, so it's like a fine line you have to walk.
It's wild.
I mean, go ahead.
No, go on, Gav, go for it.
I was just gonna say, it's like, I would be lying if I say I didn't get into my own head and have these things, why isn't this playlisted, why isn't this I would be lying if I said I've never gotten mad about that stuff, but more and more I just kind of, it's like what matters. That I don't know if I'm learning more and more that stuff really doesn't matter that much.
In life, in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in our musical career, it's like, if we want to get on like a playlist on Spotify or something, and it's like everyone's like, well, if it gets on there, it's gonna go big, and it's just like, is it though? It's like, I feel like we have, I don't know.
I rarely feel like a track that doesn't, or that deserves to get somewhere doesn't get somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I feel like we've been on both sides of this, and we've seen little to no benefit of either way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can't worry about
anything.
If it's not on some playlist, well, it probably wasn't good enough to be on that playlist, or it wasn't on the playlist.
Shouldn't be on that playlist.
Yeah, exactly. Like and when I do see things on certain tracks on certain lists and stuff like that, I'm like, I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense, right? But it's like, usually there's like a lot of distance between when you write the track and that happens. Usually you've played it out in a club and you know that it's good or not, right? Yeah. So it's like, so judging by the reaction, you expect it to be like, oh yeah, I can, and then if there's a huge reaction in a club and it's not on some playlist, then you can be like, come on.
Yeah.
Then you know something that they don't, and you should probably push for it. But that doesn't seem to happen anymore. Yeah, it's kind of like the track's a little bit weaker, no, and then if it's really good, it tends to get where it's
where
going.
It needs to eventually.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Gav?
I don't know. I agree. I agree with him.
Totally. Right, lads, let's wrap this up. I need to eat my dinner.
Yeah.
It's getting late here.
What time is it there?
Nearly 7. Yeah, 7.
I got to eat breakfast.
What time's it here?
It's noon here now. Now it's lunchtime, but I'm just.
Yeah. So if anyone is listening and they're not following you, how do they follow you? Let's get all this out of the way.
Walker and Royce on across all socials. We're doing this. It's good TV. If you want to watch us on Wednesday nights, if you want to watch any of the other artists we mentioned, it's fun. It's a good time for people who aren't into it. It's try it out. It's fun. There's some good stuff going on there. And then you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We're not on TikTok yet. Are you doing TikTok yet, Will?
I've got TikTok, and I got TikTok before it was TikTok, when it was like
it's called something else?
Yeah, it used to be called something else. And then I downloaded the TikTok app and was like, yeah, I can't do this. This is just not me. This is just not.
I know, but
I cannot imagine Sam doing a dance in the studio.
Yeah, no. I think Sam would be really good on TikTok. I think he'd be a big star. I think we're gonna. I'm just gonna manage him. We're Sam Walker, the TikTok artist. It's Walker and Royce is dead.
We're done.
I'm just producing Sam Walker TikTok videos from now on.
Do you know Carl Pilkington?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam
is he on there?
No, but Sam would be the best. That would be your TikTok. Carl Sam would be like Carl Pilkington.
Me making Sam do regular guy Sam stuff.
Yeah.
Bringing back regular guy Sam on TikTok. That's it.
It's
just Sam unhappily doing stuff.
Please do it. You have to do it. Right, lads.
I always, whenever I need content for anything, I just text Sam's wife and make her take a video of him taking out the trash or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's always like looking at the camera, like, "What are you doing? Are you videoing me?
Why are you filming me? What is this? This is going out."
Yeah, you have to do that. Right, lads. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you guys. I don't know when it's going to be, but I can't wait.
When will it be?
I don't know. But
you gotta bring me some cheddar, man.
When I was actually planning on coming to America before Christmas for like a couple of weeks.
Smarties for me. I like Smarties.
Smarties, really? You can get them in America.
No, we don't get them in America.
Really?
Smarties are better than M&Ms. They all have different tastes.
They do.
The orange ones are the best.
I haven't had Smarties in years.
And then some Cadbury's.
Okay.
Some real Cadbury's.
I got you both. Keep safe. I love you lots, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having us.
Big love, guys. See you in a bit.
Cheers.
All right, later.
And that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved it. I miss those guys so much. Can't wait to see them back in America. If you enjoyed it, please send it to your friends, share it, do all of the business that you would love to do. And I'll see you very soon. Big love.